What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Busters. Today is Monday, January 30th, and my name is Will. Joining me is my co-host, Eric. Eric, how you feeling today?
Feeling great this morning, man. Glad to be here. We're doing a little continuation of our mock draft. I'm excited to get into it.
Hell yeah, and as Eric said, we're going to continue that mock draft. Due to popular demand, we want to say thank you to everybody who watched that mock draft video and was commenting saying they wanted a round two. We are going to give you round two today, and we're going to let you know who we value. And if you guys think we missed out on anybody in this one, feel free to let us know down in the comments below. If there's more people you want to see us do highlights on, let us know, and we'll get them done. So without further ado, Eric, you ready to get this draft going?
Yeah, man, let's get it.
I believe after the last one, I was the last pick. Or you were the
Ye-
last pick
I
because
had
I
the
went first.
112, so you're sitting here at the 201, and I will resume the draft now. So you're on the clock.
All right. And to kick off the second round, I'm going to pick somebody who I think could also go in the first round. He's someone I was going back and forth with in the last video between my last pick, and that would be Mr. Kayshawn Butte of Louisiana State.
Yeah,
Why did I stumble like that? Of
I don't
LSU.
know.
Yeah, he's just somebody that I value a lot. Even though he hasn't performed a lot as of late, he has shown that he was able to perform, especially back in 2020. Back in 2020, he was considered the best wide receiver out of this class. Since then, of course, he's had some injury issues, off the field issues as well, some weirder issues going on out there. We'll get
You can say it.
yeah,
Sex
he
parties,
likes
bro.
he likes sex parties. He's a big sex party guy. At least allegedly. I'm not going to say that that's a 100% fact, but that's what's out in the streets. But all jokes aside, he is a great football player. 2022, as I said, was kind of a wash. He didn't really do too great, but in the end of the season, he did do pretty well, finishing out the season strong with I think 107 yards and a touchdown against Georgia in the SEC championship game. So still a player that's able to perform at a high level. Yards after the catch goes absolutely crazy. Hopefully, that's
Yeah.
something we can see translate over at the NFL level as well. And yeah, he's just somebody I think could be a very good talent and could be a steal in the second round.
Yeah, I absolutely love that pick. He was a guy that I was also debating in the first round, and I think probably should go in the first round more often. Um, Breakout age at 18 years old as a true freshman. He came in and had that crazy game in the final game of the season. I think it was against Ole Miss where he caught 14 passes for over 300 yards and three touchdowns. Really put him on the map. And like you said, him and JSN since the beginning have kind of been thought of as the two best receivers in this class. Just bad quarterback play, and like you said, some kind of off the field issues have pushed him down a bit. But
Yeah.
I think he's still incredibly talented. Um, so we will let me resume the draft here. We'll get into my pick at the 202. Um, there's a lot of guys in contention here, a lot of guys that I really like, but I'm gonna go with running back out of TCU,
Mhm.
Kendre Miller. Um, is it gonna let me pick him? There he goes. Now he's
Yep.
on the board. I'll repause the draft. This guy's got prototypical size. We're talking about a 6 foot, 220-pound back. He runs with power. He did share the backfield at TCU with Zach Evans, who we drafted in the first round in his first 2 years and still produced fairly well, even in tandem with him. But then he got the backfield to himself last year after Evans transferred to Ole Miss and saw the full workload, carried the team, took 224 carries for over 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns. He also caught 16 passes, so he shows that he's not a liability in the passing game. I think he's really well rounded. I think he's got some decent speed as well to go along with his size and power. So I think he's going to fit well into the NFL. Teams aren't going to have any size concerns, which I think we're going to talk a lot about as we get further in the draft. A lot of these guys are really talented but undersized. Um, so I'm not worried about that at all, and I like Kendre Miller here.
Yeah, and then just to add another note, one thing I love to see about Kendre Miller, somebody whose tape I've also been watching a little bit lately, his contact balance is actually really good as well. He's one of those guys that if until you have him on the ground, he is still a threat to get yards. So
Yeah,
one of those guys who's really out there churning it out as well. So I really like that
for
Kendre
sure.
Miller pick too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, going into this next pick, this is a bit of a more controversial pick, sort of, kind of, just because of the stigma behind rookie tight ends. But as I just alluded to, I'm going with Michael Mayer out of Notre
Yeah.
Dame. 6'4", 250 pounds. He really is. He's a little, I guess, short for a tight end on the shorter side, but not really. He's kind of that prototypical tight end size, right?
Yeah, I think he's got great size.
Yeah. But
And also, I think you listed him at 250. Again, a lot of these guys have weights that are listed differently in different places. I have
mhm.
him at 265. I think
Oh,
he's a massive dude.
I was about to say that's even better, and he's an athlete as well. Very good athlete, very big mismatch for linebackers out there. Also able to go out there and get 1,000 yard, over 2,000 yards receiving as a tight end in college, which isn't something you really
In
see all
total.
too often. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's not really a great blocker like a Gronk or like a Kittle, but at the same time, he is still a great receiver, able to get it done in the receiving game, and not a liability at blocking either. So I think he would be a good pickup, especially down the line, especially with the landscape that the tight end position has been. If you're able to find one of those guys who can develop into a good talent, especially as a rookie, which is great value right there.
Yeah. With how tough the title landscape is, it makes sense to take a guy like him that I think is just going to be such a solid producer at the NFL level. He proved it in college, like you said, with 3 straight 800-yard seasons, 30% target share, dominator rating in the 95th percentile. The only knock that I really have on him is that he's not going to have top end speed. We're not sure how slow he's going to run, but ultimately it's not that big a deal. He can create space.
Hmm.
He has great contested catchability. I think he'll be really good in the NFL. So I'm back up at the 204, and I get to take one of my favorite players in this entire draft class here. I think this is a guy that's not getting enough hype. So I'm here to start hyping him up. This guy's name is Zay Flowers out of
Mm.
Boston College. I love this guy. He's one of few guys also that we have accurate measurements on because he just weighed in at the Shrine Bowl this past weekend. He is exactly 5'9" and a quarter and 182 pounds. So he is on the smaller side, but he's electric. Um, we'll see. We'll see if it's true, but he's said that he's been running in the low 4.3s in his training for the 40, getting ready for the combine. So he's got blazing speed, and he's not just a short yardage and gadget guy that you might expect based on his size. He was used down the field and even saw a fair amount of red zone targets at Boston College. So he's a really well-rounded receiver, and he's amazing after the catch. He's got great yak. He led the ACC with 503 yards of yak last season. I've seen some people comparing him to Wandale Robinson, which I don't think it's a bad comp, but I think he's better than that. And this might sound crazy, might sound a little blasphemous, but I see shades of Antonio Brown in this kid.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a big comparison right there, but I like
yeah,
that. Hmm. Yeah, I don't really have anything too much to add. I really do like your analysis of that of Zay Flowers. He's someone I've been looking into a little bit as well. Somebody who's actually, I guess, leading a little bit into the guy that I'm picking with this next pick as well too. And the person I was looking at was actually Josh Downs of North Carolina,
yeah.
another wide receiver on the smaller side. I
Mm-hmm.
believe somewhere around 5'10", 170. I I believe in college he is a very
Yeah.
well, he's a very good route runner, pretty nuanced route runner. Spent over 90% of his snaps in the slot, which is very good because that's where he kind of profiles at the next level as well. Another player coming off sort of a down year, but also Biletnikoff Award semifinalist in 2021. So someone who had high value, but also came down just because of a down year that I don't think he will see again because it was due to injury, and I don't think that's a predictive thing going forward. Um, in just the first 8 games alone this season, I thought it was pretty crazy. First 8 games, he had 70 receptions, which is just absurd.
Yeah.
So he's just someone out there who can go out and make big plays and can be leaned on. And I think he will profile pretty well, especially at the slot, in the next level.
Yeah, totally agree. Another incredibly productive receiver at the college level, 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons, a career target share of 34%, which is just astronomical. It's in the 97th percentile. So yeah, love Josh Downs there. We'll get to the 206. I'm back up on the clock. And we're going to continue the kind of undersized trend, but really, really talented guys here. I'm going to go with Devin A-Chain out of Texas A&M. Let me pause the draft while we talk about him. He's currently listed at 5'9", 185, but that's going to be something that we're really monitoring closely as we get closer to combine time to see if he can put on a little bit of extra weight. But we're talking about a guy that's a track athlete. He's probably going to run somewhere in the 4.2s in the 40, so like top tier speed. He's also incredibly well rounded as a runner despite his size. He's actually really good in between the tackles, really decisive and fights through contact in a way that you might not expect from somebody as small as he is. Good contact balance, really impressive lateral agility. That's something that you'll see all over his highlight tape is these crazy jump cuts where he just covers a ton of ground. Um, he's pretty good in the receiving game as well. Caught 36 passes for almost 200 yards last year. So yeah, I like him a lot. I've seen this comp a few times, and I think it really kind of embodies what I think of him. He's a lot like Raheem Mostert, both athletically and in his running style. I keep tripping over my words. Um, but yeah, I think he's got that top end speed, and he's more of that decisive one cut back. So if he finds the right home, the right zone scheme for him, I think he'll be really successful at the next level.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like you said, he has that home run speed, absolutely. And I saw a crazy stat, like he averaged a missed tackle on like over a quarter of his runs, and like that doesn't
Yeah,
even account for the people that he just straight up burned. So
exactly.
yeah, I think he's gonna be pretty nuts at the next level, especially depending on where he lands at.
Yep.
Taking a look at the next receiver on the list. Spoiler alert, I'm taking a receiver. I'm looking at Mr. Rashee Rice, wide receiver out of
Okay.
SMU. He's just somebody I feel like he checks a lot of the boxes that you want to see out of a wide receiver. He's got good size, 6'3", 206, and he's just really good at tracking the ball. Really good at making the first defender miss and getting yak afterwards. It's just also a pretty good blocker as well. Something else I took a note on when I saw. But it's just I feel like he's a similar player to like Christian Watson. I think he's going to be a similar player to Christian Watson, depending on the landing spot, of course. But just a big body receiver who's able to just kind of do everything out there. He's very well rounded in my opinion. So I just think he's a great pickup, honestly.
Yeah, I like that. To be totally honest, I haven't done quite as much research on Rashee Rice. I've heard a lot of good things from trusted other resources and from you. So I do like him as a prospect, but I don't have a ton more to add there. But I like that pick at the 207. And then we'll go to the 208. I'm back up on the board, and I think I'm going to go back to the running back position here, and I'm going to take Tank Bigsby out of Auburn. Let me set him.
What a name.
Yeah, that's an NFL name right there, isn't
Hell
it?
yeah.
Tank Bigsby. Love that. Let me repause the draft as well. But yeah, he's a guy that he's got really good size, 6 foot 213. Broke out his freshman year at Auburn, rushing for over 800 yards and 5 touchdowns on only 138 carries, which is really impressive and efficient. And at the time, people were talking about him and Bijan Robinson as the top two backs in the class. So he's got really high pedigree, but then a coaching change heading into his sophomore season led to a pretty significant dip in his efficiency. He still managed to go over 1,000 yards, but just didn't look like quite the same player. And then mid-season this season, they actually brought in another new coach, Cadillac Williams, and we started to see some of the old Tank Bigsby again. He looked more like himself. So I think that kind of middle ground in his career knocked him down the draft board a bit, but I still think he's really, really talented. He's really strong, breaks a lot of tackles, very agile, and has good burst. He also improved as a pass catcher each year throughout his college career, but I don't know that I'd necessarily call it a strength. He's just not a liability there. And he does have some inconsistencies in his vision from time to time, but overall, I think he's a really athletic and talented running back that, given the opportunity, could shine at the NFL level.
Very nice. Yeah, I don't have anything to add on to that. I think that was great analysis right there.
Appreciate you.
Looking at my next pick all right, yeah. Taking a look at the 209 for my next pick, I'm actually taking a look at Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee,
Okay.
wide receiver out of Tennessee. He's just one of those guys who he won the Fred Biletnikoff Award this year. He actually was the winner. But also, he had kind of a slower start. Also played through, I believe he was this is his fourth year. He played through all 4 years at Tennessee as well. Like he went through his senior year, so that's something that's gonna knock him down a little bit. He is a little bit older, but I do believe he is one of those guys. He's got top end speed. I think he ran like a 4.31, so he's absolutely just a burner out there. So I'm sure a lot of NFL coaches are going to be excited to see him run that at the combine. He's got pretty reliable hands, really good route running. I think he's got really good burst and lateral agility. Now on the offhand, like I said, he's only had one real year of like elite production, so it was something we'd like to see again. So that is why it's towards more at the end of the second round. But I do think he is one of those guys that, depending on the landing spot, he could come in and make an immediate impact in the league. So
Yeah, I agree with you. And from everything that we've heard, it sounds like he's going to get pretty good draft capital as well, potentially first round draft capital, which could be huge for him. Um, he is kind of a one trick pony. He uses that deep speed really well, and he is a really good deep threat, but that's kind of all he has. I
Hmm.
think of him as like a light version of Jamison Williams.
Okay.
Um, so similar kind of play style, maybe not quite to that level, but yeah, I think uh, a guy that can stretch the field like that is going to be coveted by a lot of teams and hopefully can be valuable for fantasy as well. We will go to the 210. I'm back up on the board. I think I'm going to go right back to the running back. Well, this class is so deep at the running back position, so all those second round picks are going to be really valuable with guys that you can stash in your team. I'm going to go with Izzy Abanikanda out
Mm.
of Pitt. Let me put him up here. Where is he listed?
He's a little bit further down.
Yeah, sleepers got him a little bit lower than I would have him, but that's all right. Um, but yeah, he's also got pretty good size. He's 5'11", 215. He had a decent sophomore season, but then really put himself on the map this year, taking 239 carries for over 1,400 yards and 21 total touchdowns. And that was good for a dominator rating in the 97th percentile. Really impressive season this year. The way he kind of broke out in terms of timeline and his increase in yards. Sorry, I'm forgetting what this stat is. I wrote it down in an abbreviation and then totally forgot. Give me a sec.
No worries.
What the fuck is this? Yards. It's just yards per team play. I'm a dummy.
No worries.
All right. And the way that he broke out in terms of timeline and his increase in yards per team play was really similar to Kenneth Walker, actually. Not that he's necessarily the same type of player, but I just thought that was an interesting comparison. He does have elite acceleration and good vision, some decent hands as well. He didn't get a ton of opportunity as a receiver, but looked pretty good in the chances that he got. He's also really young still, which you love to see. He's only 20 years old right now, so got a lot of room left to grow and improve as a running back.
Hell yeah. I like that evaluation. I don't really have anything to add too much to that.
Oh, good, man.
And with my next pick, I'm going to stick with the running backs. Like you said, there's a lot of running backs to choose from this year. I'm actually looking at the national champion, Mr. Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia.
All right.
At weighing in at 6'1", around 210, not quite in the 220 range. It is a little bit difficult, I will add, to sort of evaluate running backs coming out of like elite schools like this because they're running with a lot of potential NFL talents. And also, he spent a lot of time behind James Cook and Zamir White in previous seasons, two guys who are also in the league. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit tough to distinguish yourself. But I just do believe that he is a really good running back, especially in the passing game. I think he can get used all over the field to use passes past the line of scrimmage. Also think he's just really good out in open space and has the ability to turn, some short to medium gains into those home run plays as well. In terms of weaknesses, like I said, ball security is a little bit of an issue. Even though he hasn't really been on the field a whole lot, he has fumbled a couple times. So that is something he needs to get together. Decision making when it comes to actually running the ball is also a bit of a concern, but something that can also be worked on with time in the league and just time, actually practicing in an NFL offense. But I just do believe that, even though he is a senior, it's going to push him down a little bit. I don't think he's one of those guys that people like to say have a lot of tread on their tires because he did play behind such elite talent that he didn't really get a whole lot of reps. So he hasn't put a whole lot of mileage on himself.
Yeah. No, I like Kenny McIntosh. I think I'm a little bit lower on him than you. Not necessarily because of anything that he's lacking, but just there's a couple later round guys that I think probably will end up slipping to the third round that I just have fallen in love with at this point. We'll talk about him, even though I'm not going to be able to draft all of them in the second round. But I do like his ability as a pass catcher a lot. I think that's going to bump up his draft capital and hopefully put him in a good situation in the league.
Hell yeah.
And then I get the last pick here at the end of the second round, the 212. And I think I'm going to switch back to the wide receiver position. And I'm going to take Marvin Mims, another guy that I don't think is getting quite enough hype. And another guy that falls into that same kind of bin that we've talked about with Zay Flowers and Josh Downs, where they're undersized guys, but still really well-rounded. They're not pigeonholed as just short yardage or gadget guys. They're used down the field. They're used in the red zone. And Marvin Mims is the same way. He's 5'11", 182. He can do everything the bigger guys can do. He's also good at the catch point. Comes down with a lot of passes that you wouldn't expect him to. Really good as a contested catcher. Um, and then also another thing you love to see, he broke out at 18 in his freshman year, giving him a 96th percentile breakout age and a career yards per reception of 20.1 yards, which is just ridiculous. That puts him in the 94th percentile. And then also he's a really good threat after the catch. He's got some pretty good yak ability. So I don't think he's quite as good as Downs or Zay Flowers, which is, obviously why they're going to get drafted ahead of him. But I think people are sleeping on Mims, and we should push him up the draft board a little bit.
Hell yeah. No, I like that pick a lot. I don't have really too much to add. I really like how you put a lot of analysis into this, man, like catch points and stuff like that. So it's just I don't have too much to add. You're doing a really good job over there with that.
I appreciate you, man. We gotta show out for the people.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. That's actually going to conclude our second round. If you guys want to see a third round, let us know in the comments. We can keep going forward. I mean, we can keep taking this one round at a time. It don't matter to me. Eric, I'm sure Eric don't mind, do you, Eric?
Nah, not one bit.
Hell yeah. So if you guys want that, let us know. Also, do all that great YouTube stuff. We're officially on the road to 100 subscribers right now. So that's been kind of going up lately. Yeah, we're getting close. So if you haven't subscribed and you like the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when we drop our newest videos. Hit that like button and that comment down below as well. Help us out in the algorithm, get us out there a little bit more as well. And just get your fantasy football questions answered because we will answer questions down in the comments. Eric, you have anything else for the people?
Yeah, just you talked about commenting. We want you guys to engage with us, be part of the community. We answer everybody's comments, everybody's questions.
Hell yeah.
I'm also curious what you guys have to say about our draft so far. If you think we missed anybody in the second round, I know there's some guys that I really wanted to take that we just didn't get a chance to get to, but they're going to be valued third round assets. So let us know if you have any opinions there. And yeah, let us know ideas for future videos if you like these mock drafts, if you like the player profiles and stuff like that, all that good stuff. Just engage with us. We appreciate you as a community. So I think that'll probably do it for us. If you made it all the way to the end, we love you as always. Appreciate you very much. And we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
Peace.